All right, we are about to step into class number 3, and we've been on a little bit of a journey dealing with the foundation of our business, and we are going to go a little bit deeper. Ooh, 1 second. How many people have enjoyed what we've been talking about so far the last couple weeks? What have been your thoughts on what you have learned, what you have seen? Give me your thoughts.
I think it's helpful knowing the different paths that, you know, um, we can go on depending on what we want to be doing with the business.
Okay, so learning a little bit about the different paths and how you do it, that was helpful for you. Okay, somebody else?
I think it's helpful to start over from scratch with everybody, and we're all starting at the same pace.
Yeah, okay. So getting everybody to start out, you like that concept? Getting everybody just to re-engage, refocus.
I was gonna say something similar. I think sometimes when you've been in it for a while, the thought of saying like you're resetting, restarting feels like failure.
Mm,
And going through it together, it feels like safe. It feels like it's not about failure, it's about being in it together. And I also think, in terms of what we've been talking about around duplication, and really focusing on having a system, this is a good way to get everybody on the same page, learning at the same time, regardless of how long you've been here.
it's a good comment there. That's a good comment. Yeah, getting everybody on the same page and feeling okay that you can actually just start your business off from scratch, right? And there's no, you know, guilt or anything from that. You can restart your business at any point in time, right? That's the beauty of what we do here. Anybody else? One last comment of what you have seen so far with what we've been talking about.
So I just want to comment on the fact that I am not able to make Saturday classes, and I can very much appreciate the fact that I receive the information so I can keep abreast of everything. So I want to say thank you for that.
Yeah, no worries. We're growing and we're learning. And I'm actually pretty amped to share that on Saturday, this coming Saturday, we'll be launching the Dominate Leadership YouTube channel. Auntie's face lit up there. Oh, Auntie got excited. So yeah, we'll be launching on Saturday our YouTube channel. And on Saturday as well, we're going to be launching a QR code and just where you can find different aspects on our Google Drive. We're going to make it super, super easy for you so that you don't have to be asking me or waiting on me to give you anything. You just go into the drive and find everything. That's the whole point of everything. So you're going to see that a little mini launch on Saturday for that. So I'm pretty excited. Okay, let's go into training today. Today we are in class 3 and we are discussing approval addiction. Approval addiction. Now, we've been talking about the system. This is the system, and we are currently at the 100 name list. This is why everybody's got to finish this name list. You got to do the work. You got to go in the memory jogger. I want you to, and by the way, I did way over 100 names, way over, because I did the memory jogger. I did exactly whatever it said. I have well over like a ton of names, right? Again, some may be later market, not everybody is immediate, but get the names on your marketing list. So that's where we're at right here, marketing list. That's the start. Now we're going to do the dirty work, the dirty work. And you know, a long time ago, they said to me when I started in this business, they said that this is a contact sport. How many people have ever played contact sports? Anybody played contact sports? Okay. What's a contact sport?
Like basketball?
Yeah, a contact
Soccer.
sport is what though? What is it like? Yeah, that's an example. But what is it? What's a contact sport?
It's a high touch sport. The intention is like,
Yeah, yeah. So my mom would say you're gonna get boxed up. Yeah. What does that mean? It means you're gonna get hit. You should by
You're gonna
going
get
into
bruised.
this sport, you should know that there's gonna be some touching, some grabbing, some hitting, right? There's gonna be something that's gonna be involved with your body, and it's a contact sport. Well, guess
Hockey.
what? Your financial business is a contact sport. But the difference is it's not your body that's gonna get hit.
Your wallet.
What did you say, Charles?
Your wallet.
It's your wallet. Oh, well, the person that has the most contacts and the person that actually connects and touches people's lives wins. But this is the problem, and this is where people don't do what they need to do. And typically, what are reasons why people don't contact? Someone put up their hands, and not the same people, man. Other people, let's talk. Why do people not go out and talk to people about their business, market their business? Why?
They're
Fear of
afraid of
rejection.
sorry.
Internet hands, people. Shauna, go ahead.
Sorry. They're afraid of getting the
Rejection.
no's.
Okay, they're afraid of a no. Okay. Charles.
Lack of confidence and don't know what to say.
Maybe lack of confidence, they don't know what to say. Yeah. Okay. So this is the nitty gritty because nothing happens in our business unless we start to contact, we market. Marketing is letting people know how we can solve their problems. So if you market properly, you're going to see a result. Last week, we talked about it that all we're looking for is 10%, just 10%, which is a very low number. If you contact 100 people, do you think you get 10 people to say yes? It's a very, very small number, right? But you got to contact them. Now, today we're going to talk about the psychology of approval. And what does that look like? And so I'm enlisting the foremost expert in this actual subject to train a little bit with us about the concept. And then we're going to come back and we're going to have a nice little discussion because if we do not cross this hurdle, we can't win in business. So we have to put this to bed in order to go to the next level. So I want you to listen up to this video and then we're going to have a little candid chat after. Okay? Here we go.
Okay, so let's talk about rejection and the reason that we're so afraid of it, which is approval addiction. Why would we really ever be afraid of getting rejected by people when we really have nothing to do with their opinion? It's completely separate from us. They're not really rejecting you personally. they're just rejecting what they believe to be something that's not interesting to them, an opportunity. Here's why we feel sometimes emotional pain and certainly psychological pain when we get rejected. Sometimes physical pain even when we get rejected. We're addicted to the approval of other people. In other words, we're so needy of approval that we can feel physical pain when someone rejects us. It's a little scary, don't you think? But it's the death knell of your business if you're addicted to the approval of other people. So what's the answer if you really are? You know, here, let me backtrack for a second and say, this is where this really comes from. You know, where approval addiction comes from. It's actually kind of interesting because it works in our lives all the way up until we decide to go out and stake our own claim. So this is really where it comes from, and it's basically part of evolution. You know, when you're little, when you're a child and you're powerless, you need the approval of the big people, the powerful people, just for survival. It's built into our DNA to seek approval of people that can keep us alive. Makes sense, right? It's tribal. This goes way, way back. This is millions of years of evolution. Okay, so now we're a child, and if we do the right things and we get the approval of our parents, of adults, then they give us what we want. We cry, we get their approval, we say something, we do something, we don't do something, we get their approval, and they give us what we want. Then we become a little bit older, and we realize that if we do what our parents tell us and our coaches tell us and our teachers tell us and any of these powerful people in our lives tell us, they treat us like we want and give us what we want. So this approval process works for us. It's a success strategy in our lives. And we get better at it and better at it and better at it to the point where we become manipulative. Now we're teenagers and we know how to manipulate our parents. We want to use the car on Friday night, and so we throw them a guilt trip and we get their approval somehow and they give us the car. We want to stay out late. We want to raise in our allowance, whatever it is. We know how we've done this for years. We've actually sought approval for so many years that we effectively become experts at it. We've become so good at it, and during this time, we don't know what's happening. We're becoming addicted to it. We've become addicted to approval because it's gotten us everything we want in our lives as less powerful people with more powerful people, right? All the way up until you're in college, you got to get the approval of your college professors and still your parents and the dean and everybody else that again has this power. And then you go out and get a job, and you have to have the approval of a boss or a committee or a board or an organization, right? That's all fine, and you know how to do it. You're really good at it. You've been doing it since you're a child. It's built into your DNA, and you're an expert. So what do? You get their approval, and it works. All of a sudden now, you decide to go out and stake your own claim. You're going to start a business. You're going to start something where you have to go out and prospect people. You have to go out in the world, in the jungle, as we call it, as an entrepreneur, okay, and seek people's approval. You're actually going to you want them to say yes to you, and 95% plus of the time, they're saying no. So now I've been getting approval my whole life. I'm addicted to approval at the highest level because it's worked for me for so long. And I'm actually in a business where I'm being disapproved of almost all the time. Think about that. This is the equivalent of sending a drunk into a bar on Saturday night. Nothing good is going to happen here. You don't send a drunk into a bar. You don't send a drunk into anywhere that has a neon sign. This is bad. They're going to end up on the floor. Okay, you keep drunks out of a bar because they're addicted to alcohol. And what do you have in a bar? You have alcohol, and you have people drinking alcohol. This is a bad place to be for someone that's addicted to it. Okay, and that's exactly why most entrepreneurs fail. It's the number one reason they fail. It's usually not the business. It's them. They fail because they have to go out and sell. They have to go out and prospect. They have to go out and market. And most of the time, people are rejecting your proposition. That's why you can get paid so much money to do it, because if you're mentally tough enough to overcome all this rejection and all this disapproval, well, you're rare. And so when you're rare, you can get paid more as long as you're providing a product or service that people want to purchase, right? You've got to go out there in the jungle and get beat up. You know it in advance. The problem is I'm an addict and you're sending me out to be disapproved of. It's a formula for failure unless you understand what it is and what it isn't. Okay, so right off the bat, you have to understand where it comes from, how it's ingrained. It's not because you're mentally weak that you're addicted to approval. It's because you've been doing it your whole life. Most of us have. But now you have to go to the next level. You basically have to break this addiction to the approval of other people. How do you do it? Well, it's through what I talked about in the overview, which is it's a process called systematic desensitization. Effectively, you're systematically exposing yourself to rejection so often, so much of the time, and sometimes so severely that after a certain point, you become desensitized to it. Okay? And I'll give you a parallel. I've known people that were in Alcoholics Anonymous 25 years ago, and I've asked them, and just not thinking of their background because they don't talk about it, I'd say, hey, let's go out and get a drink. And they go, well, remember, I don't drink. Oh, yeah, sorry. Oh, yeah, let's not go to a bar. And they go, no, I can go to a bar. I'll drink water. I'll drink a Coke. No problem. They have no problem with it whatsoever. What's happened in their life? They've become desensitized to the allure and the attraction of alcohol. They just don't care anymore. It doesn't matter to them. Same thing with quitting smoking. Same thing with people who lose weight. They don't really have the desire. They've literally desensitized to that particular stimulus. It's not complicated, but it isn't easy because you've got to go through the gauntlet, so to speak. You've got to go through the part where it hurts. You wouldn't walk into a bar, in the beginning days, in the early days of being an alcoholic. I don't imagine anyway. I think that would probably be a pretty bad place for you to be. Yet as an entrepreneur, if you're addicted to approval, which most of us are, you literally have to throw yourself out there and ask people to buy, ask people to consider your proposition, whatever it is you're selling, whether it's a business opportunity or anything else, right? Now, in business opportunities, like that we talk about in this program, whether it's MLM or network marketing or anything else, the rejection rate seems to be, the severity of the rejection seems to be higher than sometimes in another more traditional things. For example, if I'm selling for Johnson & Johnson, I was a consultant for Johnson & Johnson on mental toughness for 9 years. And when you have Johnson & Johnson on your business card and you call on a prospect and they know you're from Johnson & Johnson, the severity of the rejection is not that great. Why? You're representing one of the biggest companies and the most successful companies in the history of business. There's a lot of credibility behind it. But now compare and contrast that with being a network marketer. You're representing some company most people have never heard of, and not everyone looks favorably upon salespeople. 92% of the American public does not trust salespeople, all right? And they see you as a salesperson. They see you as a pitch person. MLM doesn't have a great reputation because it's been abused. It's kind of like the used car industry. There's a reason that they have a bad reputation. It's not because the MLM model or the used car model, industry model doesn't work. Of course they work. MLM is probably, as someone that's built businesses outside of MLM for 30 years, I look at MLM and think that's probably the most ingenious way to market a product or service in the history of marketing. It's absolutely brilliant because of all the things you already know. Right? The ability to build a team of people that builds a team of people, and everyone's incentivized, and you can build an army of people that are promoting your product or service. It's brilliant. But that being said, it's no different than the used car industry. There's nothing wrong with buying a used car, or what they call a pre-owned car now. Sounds better, right? That thing's pre-owned, man. That's a used car, I'm telling you. I don't care what they call it. But it's a pretty smart move. Why? Well, you buy a car, you lose at least 20% off the top as soon as you drive off the lot. It's not really that smart of a decision to buy a new car. A used car is probably a better proposition financially. So it's not a bad industry. It's just been abused. It's been abused. You go in there, and the guy's got the plaid suit on, and the shiny shoes, and he says, yeah, how can I help you now? And you're like, oh, geez, It's like you're in a movie or something. No one wants to go buy a used car. It's a painful experience because it's an abused model. People have abused the model. Same in MLM. People have abused it. They've done stupid things. They make stupid, outrageous claims. They do all kinds of crazy things. Not the serious people, but the masses. And the problem is there's a low barrier to entry, just like getting a job at a used car lot. Not a hard job to get. It may be a hard job to keep, but it's not a hard job to get. Okay, and MLM's the same way. It costs you how much to sign up for your business? $100 or $200 or some very low fee. It's a low barrier to entry. So what does that mean? You get the masses. You get everybody and their brother signing up for these companies, and some of these people are not that bright. They make claims, they do all kinds of stupid things, and they give the industry a terrible reputation. And then you have professionals, MLM network marketing professionals, and I've known thousands of them over the years. These are serious business people using a very, very smart business model. It really works. It's very bright. There's no exposure. You have no financial risk to it whatsoever. The company takes all the risk. They produce the products. All you do is promote it and build a team of people who do the same thing. It's a pretty good business, pound for pound. You can't hardly lose any money, not unless you really try to, in most companies. So my point is, it's a great model, but it's misunderstood. And probably for any of our lifetimes, this is probably going to still be misunderstood, just like used cars. It's a reputation. It just doesn't have a good reputation. So the point of it is the severity of the rejection that you receive when you go out and promote your business. It can be very harsh. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. But be ready for that. As an approval addict, you got to know that you're going to get hit. People are going to laugh. They're going to say, oh, I can't believe you got roped into that pyramid scheme. MLM is not a pyramid scheme. But they still, if you type it on the internet, you'll still see people claiming it's a pyramid scheme. Pyramid schemes are illegal. They've been illegal for many, many years. This has gone through the courts many, many times. And MLM companies always win because it isn't a pyramid scheme. There are pyramid schemes out there. That MLM's not one of them. Okay, otherwise they would be illegal. It's gone through 50 years of court law, lawsuits, and the MLM companies always win in the end because they're not pyramid schemes. But people think they are. A lot of people think they are because they're ignorant about the industry. So you're going to get hit with that. You're going to hit with all kinds of things, and the more you get hit, the more desensitized you become. The less of an addict, an approval addict you become. Here's what I'm saying. You have to get rejected. You have to. Because chances are, on a scale of 1 to 7, 7 being most addicted, you're probably a 7 or a 6. Why do I say you? You think, you don't even know me, Steve. You're talking on a video. How do you know who you're talking to? Most people are a 6 or a 7 to start with. You may not be. You may be an anomaly. You might be a 2. But you're 1 out of 1,000. Most of the people on your team that you recruit, they're going to be a 7. 7 out of a 7, or at least a 6. Highly addicted to approval. Again, you're sending a drunk, a full-blown drunk into a bar, and you expect them to succeed? Well, it's not a great model in that way, but that's what it is. That's what you have. What do you have to do? You've got to coach them. You got to teach them what approval addiction is, how it works, systematic desensitization, how that works, and then get them out there getting rejected. And then you got to coach them and say, look, when people say yes to your proposition, to your business opportunity, to be a client, to be a customer, to be an associate, to be a teammate, great. That was the goal, to say yes, to hear the word yes. That's great. But when they say no, especially when they add laughter to it, you got roped into that MLM deal. I can't believe you fell for that. Oh my God, those people are crooks. It's a pyramid. The guys at the top make all the money. I love that one. That's always my favorite one. The people at the top of everything make all the money. Of course they do. Why do you think you have the rich and the poor? The people at the top always make the money. You know how they got there? They worked for it. That's how they got there, unless they inherited it. Okay? But they got there for a reason. The people at the top of the people at Johnson & Johnson make all the money too. Believe me, I was a consultant there. I know the hierarchy like the back of my hand. The people at the bottom don't make the money. The people at the top of Johnson & Johnson make so much money it's obscene. Okay? And every other company as well. That's the way it works. But that being said, people don't understand how business works usually, so they throw that stuff out there, and you have to be able to take it. And so you're coaching people to say, look, the more severe the rejection, the more you win, because you're desensitizing more with the severity of the rejection. The more severe it is, the more they laugh at you, scorn you, make fun of you, the less of an addict you're going to be after that encounter. You win when they say yes, and you win when they say no. As long as you don't quit, you win. And people go, that makes sense. People are smart. They get it. You just have to coach them a little bit. They go, oh, okay, so I win either way, even if they say no. Yeah, you're becoming desensitized. That's how the mind works. Once you understand how the mind works, you control it and you manipulate it. Even when it's yourself, especially when it's yourself. right? It's called metacognition. You're thinking about what you think about, and then you're playing like you're outside of your own mind, and you're manipulating your own mind to serve your best interests. It's pretty smart. We're the only animal, as we know, as far as we can determine, that has the ability of metacognition. We can think about what we think about and then go back and manipulate our own emotions for our own personal gain. It's pretty amazing. But people don't know this. You've got to teach it to them. So as a coach, I want you to think, everything I'm saying going forward with the Tiger program, think about this with two hats on, one for yourself, one for your team. You're a performer and you're also a coach if you're going to build a big team. So, or any team for that matter. So you've got to think about this rejection thing in a positive way. When they say yes, it's positive. When they say no, you got to break people out of the approval addiction that most of us suffer from. First yourself and then your team. Okay? If you can do that, and you can do that, this is not rocket science, okay? If you can do that, well, then you'll teach your people to do the same thing with their people and so on. But this is critical for your success and their success, overcoming approval addiction. Okay, so I want you to think about this week as you go forward, as you're making your calls, as you're talking to people, as they're rejecting you. You win no matter what, unless you don't pick the phone up. You win every time. Yes, no, voicemail. You win every single time if you understand the way the mind works around this concept of rejection and systematic desensitization. Okay. So have a great week, and I'll see you next week.
Okay. All right. So, just want to hear a little bit about what you heard. Just your quick comments on what you heard.
You think you need to play that video every month?
Yes.
Because played every month.
No, I don't know this guy's name, but I believe all of us identified, what's his name?
Steve Seabolt.
Steve Seabolt. Yeah, I think all of us identify with the approval addiction. As he said, we're all at pretty much 7 because it's ingrained in us. But from what he said and reading the book, Go for No, is dissimilar in some ways, right?
It is.
Straighten your nose. That you go out and the more nose you get, you become a little stronger, right? So yeah. So, but that's really good. As I said, you may need to play this more often. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. What else?
You win when you say no. You win when they say you win when they say no. You also win when they say yes. Once you don't quit. That was powerful. Yeah.
You win either way. The only way you don't win is what?
When you quit.
Yeah, when you don't do anything at all.
Yeah.
Right? When you don't do anything at all. That was powerful.
Yeah.
Okay, somebody else? What's your thought? Excuse me.
No, one thing that's sort of funny to me, it's like you know it, but then you hear it and you internalize it differently. When he said 90% of people don't trust salespeople, right? And it's hilarious because I'm definitely one of those people. So it's like, so when we go out and people are acting like that, we're shocked and appalled, even though we know we should know.
Yeah, that's the normal, actions of people, right?
Yeah.
It's like, have you ever gone shopping? You need something, and you go into a store, and the salesperson asked, "Do you need help?" And what do? You say, "No, no, no, I'm okay. I'm okay." But you need help, but because they came out asking, you're like, "No, I'm okay." That's like so many of us do that, right? How many people do that? You know what I'm saying, right? You're like, "No, I'm okay. I'm okay." Yeah, you really need help, but it's just because you don't want to be sold anything. You're like, "Well, this person's gonna push me to get something I don't want." And so we get into that pattern, right? So that's what he was talking about. Okay, Debbie.
So he says, be ready for the harshness. Just
Mm,
be ready.
right. Right. You actually need that, right? That's what he was kind of talking about.
Yeah.
You actually need that in order to be successful. So I think that that's important just for us to understand. Okay. All right. Let's go into the slides. And here's what we got to recognize. We've got to overcome this approval addiction. Okay. What's stopping you from winning at a high clip is your fear, not liking the feeling of somebody saying no. That's a major reason why you're not where you are right now. And here's the truth, you got to get rid of that. You got to get rid of it. You got to overcome that. It's really none of your business what people think about you. It's none of your business what people think about you. What's most important is how you think about yourself. How do you think about yourself? Because really, you can't control how somebody's going to think about you when you think about it. Think about that. You cannot control how somebody's going to think about you. You think you can, but really, how many people you've been nice with people and they still hate you, or they still have like you still have issues with people and you don't even know what you did? Has anybody been in that situation before? Like people just don't like you for whatever reason, or they don't mix with you for whatever reason. And so you can't really control that. Debbie.
Well, I recall recently it was said, anyone's perspective is none of your business.
Yeah. Yeah. But really, when you come down to it, right? Like think about it. This controls so much of our lives. You're walking down the street and you see somebody real sharp. You're like, man, that person would be great for the business. Why didn't you talk to them? Think about it. Why didn't you just say, hey, started a conversation? Why didn't you talk to them? You know why? Because you're afraid of what they would think and them saying no, or what do they think of you? You see? So it prevents you from being huge in this business because you got an approval addiction. So here's the thing. First, we got to have awareness. Awareness is the start of all freedom. We've got to be aware of it. We've got to come to terms with it and not be delusional. Okay, it's there and you got to attack it. You got to attack it. Okay, so we got to be aware. Now, he asked this question in there. He said, how addicted are you? From a scale of 1 to 7, he said, 1 being not at all. You're not even concerned. And by the way, a 1 would be like Donald Trump. I don't know when you're going to be watching this video, but at this time, Donald Trump is in his second term of the president of the United States. And I don't think I've seen fewer people who do not have an addiction approval like Donald Trump. I mean, he doesn't care. He doesn't care, right? So if you're like Donald Trump level, you're a 1. Everybody else, you probably got some level of approval addiction. So how severe are you from 7? Be honest. I want an honest score here, not delusional. 7 being I'm full blown. I don't like being rejected, and I'm so concerned. Listen, if a stranger who you may never see, I may not even go up and talk to him because I'm afraid. Okay, from 1 to 7, I want you to put in the chat what your number is right now. 1 to 7. And if you're watching the video, I want you to be thinking in your head as well. What's that number? Are you severely addicted? And be honest with yourself. Does it really crush you if somebody says no? Somebody doesn't want to do what you're doing or listen to what you're doing or maybe said something. Does it crush you? Does it hurt you? Do you feel like, or do you go after it because it doesn't matter? Where do you fall? Where do you fall? Where do you fall? Okay, so we got Debbie 5, Juliet 4. Okay, 4, 5, 3, 3, 2. Okay. Okay, 4, 5. Okay. All right. Fair. Why did you say what you said? Real quick. Just unmute your mic and tell me, why did you say what you said? Why did you put the number that you said? Why do you feel that that's the correct number?
For me, um, I get rejections. Sorry, uh, like from family members, from friends, from strangers, and I keep going. Just last week, I was telling Kay, person that I met earlier this year, I called them just to chat and say, hey, did I tell you what I do? And he said, what? And when I told him, he's like, why are you guys in this garbage? And this guy just went off, like, it's like, and I'm like, sorry, I don't know the people you're meeting. And, we have a discussion. And actually, when I asked him about leverage and stuff like that, he come right back around to me because, I'm asking you, you work your job, you're alone working. Do you have any way of leveraging people or money to achieve anything you want? I said, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing.
So, but why would you say you're 5 though, or whatever you said, whatever
The
number?
reason that I'm coming to that, so that's the reason I say, because I still making my calls, talking to people, and I'm not quitting. So I'm only will get better.
Okay.
So that's why I say, like I still go out and talk to people, still get rejections, still,
Well, you're going to, but this is the level of being addicted means that it's the severity of how much it really crushes you. That's the scale that we're talking about. So, I'm not addicted is number one. Like Donald Trump, I don't care. So there's no addiction at all. Like I'll say whatever, you'll talk about me. I know you're talking about me bad, and it doesn't really faze me. I still continue doing what I'm doing. That's a one. That's a high, like it's like water on the back. It doesn't matter what they say. It doesn't affect me. 7 is, oh yeah, it does affect me. Like I still like it prevents me from doing what I should do. Like you know what I'm saying? And 3 and 4 would be right in the middle, where sometimes it affects me, no, it doesn't. I don't know. I still have some feelings, right? That's kind of the scale. All right, JR.
So for me, I said I'm about 3 and 4,
Okay.
depending on the situation and whatnot. I like to think that I have thick skin and I'm very stubborn. So me learning all the stuff that I know now, right? When I'm talking to people and they're telling me all these things, certain situations I don't have a rebuttal for, but I'm learning more so now as time go on how to rebuttal certain situations.
Okay.
And I'm not there yet, but yeah, that's why I said 3 and 4 for myself.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Ebony.
I would say I'm a 2-3. Like most days I'm a 2, but I feel like as I get older, there's this weird thing that happens. I don't know if it's like learned or hereditary, where like you kind of care what people think. And like it's not like you care. It's a approval addiction in a weird way. Like I really don't care, but then you find yourself after you walk away from a situation being like, what did that person mean when they said that in that tone?
Hmm.
And so I'm okay, like, but I spend a lot of time thinking about that situation, just trying to like dig through and be like, was that the best outcome? Was there like an underlying message? Was something backhanded? Which means that I do care to some degree, although I'm not hurt. I feel like I spend a lot of time thinking about it. And I'm guessing my mom's hand is up because it's probably hereditary.
Okay. Angus Arthur.
I said 3 because I still, depending on the room I'm in, right? So like the I'm saying people's wallet, like if somebody's a CEO makes a lot of money, I might I tend not to be as aggressive with the comments and talking to them about what we do. I will talk with them, but it might not be as confident as somebody who is at my level or lower, right? So that's where I've gotten a lot better. I actually have the conversations, but I'm not as I don't push as hard in some of those rooms that I should. And I shouldn't really care what their bank account says because everybody needs help.
Okay, Juliet.
Yeah, so partially similar to Angus, but I gave myself a 4, like somewhere in the middle, because I'm okay with a no. But there's times when it hurts, like it goes deep. Like when it's somebody you've known for a long time, and they're not your hot market, they're your warm market, and you invite them here, and they say they don't want to follow up, or they have a follow up, but they don't want to proceed, and then they say, "I went out and found an advisor," and then you say to yourself, like, what does that mean? Like what, And so I have to kind of like go through who is this person, and in some cases, these are some of the people I know that in Jamaican you said in duck, like they're duck, like they don't. Those are the people where they're like, I don't want you to know nothing about me.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm just gonna go out and do this thing. Like what you said made sense, and now I'm gonna go fix it on my own,
Sure.
right? But it's hard not to take it personal because there's a part of me that's like, what does that mean? Like, does that mean you don't trust me specifically, or is this a you problem?
Yeah, yeah, that's a good comments that those are all things that you're going to go through in your mind, right? And it's all in your mind, right? It's all in your mind. And one of the things that you guys have to get good at is separating the outcome from your marketing. You got to separate that. So, picture yourself as a waiter. This is an old analogy, but if you're a waiter and you're, serving and you got water in your hand and you're gonna, fill up somebody's water and you come to the table and you're, most waiters don't even ask you or waitresses, they don't even ask you, they just pour, right? What if somebody said, "No, I don't want any more water. I'm good. I'm good." Right? Would you as the waiter or the waitress go to the back and say, "Oh my God, they don't want water. I must be a terrible waiter." Like it would be ludicrous to think that way because what are they just don't they're just not thirsty, JR. They're just not thirsty. So it has nothing to do with the way you served, right? Or anything like that. They're just not the right people. So write this down. I'm in the business of looking for people who are looking for me.
Mhm.
I'm looking for people who are looking for me. I am in the business of looking for people who are looking for me. I'm looking for people who are thirsty for what I am and I have to offer, who want wealth, who want to make more money, who want to get their financial house in order, who want to start saving, who want to get out of debt, who want to stop living paycheck to paycheck. I'm looking for people who are talking to themselves like that. Everybody else, you're not my client. And so I don't feel bad because they're just not my kind. Okay. So everybody and those who are listening, you've got to reconcile this and be honest with yourself and then step into kind of the second step, which is we've got to interrupt the pattern. Okay. So now this is in your conscious mind, and I need you to interrupt the pattern that's been happening in your subconscious. So you got to snap yourself out of it. What do I mean by that? Tomorrow, you're going to be out and about. And I guarantee you this message is going to come to your head where you're going to see somebody or you're thinking about the business and the old pattern is going to be there. It's going to and you got to interrupt it where, nah, that person wouldn't want to do that. You know how you say it in your mind, you negotiate, that person probably is not what. You make whatever excuse and then you don't talk to that person. What I want you to do is interrupt it. Say, no, no. A burst of 30-second of courage. A burst, 30 seconds of courage. Write it down. I just need 30 seconds of courage. Write it down. 30 seconds. I need to interrupt. I need to interrupt the pattern. I just need 30 seconds of courage and then I can go back to whoever I was. Okay? So when I'm making calls, what do I need? I just need a burst of courage. I need to interrupt. I just need a burst of courage. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Interrupt the pattern of, oh, I'll do this tomorrow, or oh, like maybe I'll do it tomorrow. Oh, this doesn't feel good. Oh, I gotta make calls, whatever. Interrupt what's going on inside of you. Whatever's saying inside of you, I don't know, you shouldn't do this, or do it tomorrow, or it doesn't feel good, or they may say this. Interrupt that pattern. That's how you got to do it. You got to interrupt it. You got to actually talk to yourself and say, nope, what? No. Okay. So critical. Now, you have to consciously make a decision to go against what feels familiar, everybody. You have to consciously. Okay. If you're going to win here, you're going to have to do some things that are uncomfortable. And this is one of them, right? The game that's being played in your mind. So interrupt the habits, consciously say, huh, oh, I'm doing it again. You're negotiating. Should I talk to that person? No, just go talk to the person. I need 30-second bursts of courage. Boom, go do it. Right? Like, who cares? It's a stranger. If they say no, who cares? Why is it hurting you so much? You're never going to see that person again. Why are you negotiating? You're negotiating because you're allowing that approval addiction to start. Oh, no, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. No, interrupt the pattern. 30-second burst of courage. Go do it. Do what you say you're going to do. That's the business. And by doing that over and over, you get to the last part, which is what Steve Sibo was talking about. You desensitize. All of a sudden now, it really doesn't hurt you anymore. This is normal. So, you guys, a lot of you know I'm Jamaican heritage. Love my background. And there's one thing I'll say about Jamaican men. They have got to be the most persistent men on the face of the earth that don't mind to get rejected and still keep coming regardless. If somebody on the call could say amen.
Our Father.
Right? And if you've ever been to Jamaica, right? You'll hear them with their talks and their cat calls. And I mean, I've heard some ladies, completely diss the guy, and all the guys just doing is smiling and laughing and having a joke about it, right? And that person has been desensitized to the rejection because they have heard it so much, it doesn't even hurt. Even though you're saying it, you said no, it just bounces right off of you, bounces the chest and bounces right after you, right? So, implementation strategy. You've got to constantly repeat actions that expose you to the emotional triggers. This is the hard part here. You actually have to expose yourself. So therefore, you got to make enough calls to get over the fear so that you can live in freedom from the opinions of others. You have to make enough calls. You got to do it over and over again until, oh, I heard that over here. This is nothing. Oh, yeah, I've heard that. And it's not nothing. I've heard that. It doesn't bug you anymore. This is the key. This is the key. So this is why I say this top 100 that we're working on is going to be our practice list. Did you remember when I said that? In the last one, it says it's going to be a practice list because you're going to get really good by the end of calling this top 100 list, whether good or bad, whether they reject you. If 90% say no, but we only get 10%, you're going to win. Why? Because you're going to desensitize yourself, you're going to practice, you're going to get really good at your craft, and you're going to see some good results on top of that. Okay? Mr. Fisher.
What I've noticed for myself, and maybe most people on this Zoom have a similar experience, with your list, even though you have your 100 list, there are people on the list that you say, no, I can't call that. Even though the person may be family or somebody that you know pretty well, you're like, no, I can't call that person. I'm not ready. I can't call that person. You keep telling yourself. But once you call that person, anybody else on your list, it's easier for you to call.
Yes.
You were telling yourself, I'm not in the position to speak to that person because they're gonna say whatever, right? So
Mhm.
it's so what you're saying and what the video has said is, comes real.
Okay, everybody. So you've got to get over approval addiction. You got to get over the fear of making those phone calls, stepping to people with the opportunity, with the business solutions, with the financial solutions. If you don't do this, you're going to lose here. You're not going to win. So receive it, bring it to your awareness, interrupt the pattern, 30-second burst of courage, and repeatedly do it until you're desensitized. It doesn't bug you anymore. And like Donald Trump, it doesn't matter what people say, you just keep on smiling and doing your thing regardless, right? Oh, that's the goal, to get you to the point where it doesn't bug you anymore and you can actually win hard and high in the business, okay? Saturday we're going to start talking about approach and contact. So we're going to put some metal to the pedal, and I want you to be thinking about this. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of homework. The homework is I want you to Google approval addiction. You can actually do it in YouTube and watch some videos on it. Watch some videos, okay? You're going to see that there are a lot of information on it and things that you can do to change your life. Okay? All right, everybody. Thank you.